After staying up late and dying suddenly, Jiecheng's soul pierced through the courtyard, following him to experience the real world of film and television. The first world is, full of love in a courtyard, the second world is, ordinary world, the third world is, a little woman under the gate of Zhengyang, and the fourth world is, the children of the Qiao family. Keywords of the novel. Film and television start from Jiecheng in the quadrangle without pop-ups. Film and television start from Jiecheng in the quadrangle with full download of TXT, and film and television start from Jiecheng in the quadrangle with the latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Rebirth of Jiecheng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Rebirth of Jiecheng. Spring of 64 or 9 cities. Nanluoga Lane. In the early morning, I was awakened by a long period of silence from the music of The East is Red. Accompanied by 6 crisp bells, it turned out that the clock of Beijing Bell and Drum Tower was ringing for a new day. Jiecheng is a seasoned coder from the 21st century. Under the blessing of 007, after staying up late and dying suddenly, his soul traveled to the world of courtyard houses full of emotions, in the dark. Love-filled quadrangles tells the story of the cultural, life changes, and social diversity that occurred in Beijing's quadrangles from the 1960s to the 1990s. This quadrangle is jokingly known as the poultry-filled quadrangle. There are more than 20 households living in the 3 courtyard, most of whom work at the 3rd rolling mill. The front yard is mainly inhabited by Bugui, the 3 masters, and 4 other households. Bugui, nicknamed Yen Laoshi, is a very chicken thief man who is a primary school Chinese teacher. He likes to chew his words and is more fond of accounting, and his life is relatively stingy. If you have nothing to do, just be clever and do some tricks. A very stingy 3rd master living in a courtyard. The courtyard became lively with He Yuzhu, the silly pillar, who coveted widows. He is said to have a straightforward personality, a super talkative personality, a foul mouth, and a kind heart. Both adults and children in the small courtyard call him a silly pillar, and he calls him a symmetrical and indifferent person. He Rainwater's brother is a chef in the cafeteria of a steel rolling mill worker, with superb culinary skills. He also praises filial piety and is capable, making life difficult. At a young age, she was widowed, with a mother-in-law above and a son and 2 daughters below. The widow, Qin Huiru, was a vampire. Of course, she is not a widow yet. On the surface, he has a straightforward personality, a righteous style, and lives in harmony with his spouse. The hypocritical gentleman in the courtyard, the 8th-level fitter in the steel rolling mill, and the childless Zhengyang. There are selfish, righteous, and extremely jealous people in the backyard who are truly petty. On weekdays, foolish Zhu's arch-nemesis, Su Dumao. Heir de Yi Lu Haizhong, an ordinary workshop worker, has always had a dream of becoming an official. He is a 7th-level forging worker in a steel rolling mill and enjoys participating in various matters in the yard. The deaf elderly lady of the Sea God Needle in the courtyard is a household with 5 guarantees, rich experience, and particularly accurate in judging people. Treating Zhengyang as his son and silly Zhu as his grandson, easily disregarding the right and wrong of the courtyard. After 16 years of confusion, Jiecheng finally fused his memories from 2 lifetimes while sleeping on his 16th birthday yesterday. Not bad, Jiecheng is the eldest son of Bugui, the 3 masters, in the courtyard, and a junior high school student. Jiecheng got up to wash up. The courtyard was really lively. The sound of cooking, greeting, children playing and crying kept coming and going. Unlike others, Jiecheng enjoyed the simple life of the 1960s very much. In my previous life, I was carefree. At the beginning of the orphanage, my life was only about work, mortgage, and car loans, with no passion or joy to speak of. There is no pressure in life now, number 996, number 007, no mortgage, no car loan. Although the material life is insufficient, the spiritual life is actually very prosperous. After everyone had washed up, the breakfast of the Yen family was also ready. A pot of noodles was sticky, and Yen Bugui had 2 steamed buns. The others had 1 each, and a plate of pickled vegetables. The taste can only be described in words, and the taste is only throat-watering. Fortunately, this body has adapted to these. After eating, it's only 1.5 full, and now we can only ensure that Yen Bugui, the strong worker at home, eats more alone. In my memory, the Yen family hasn't eaten fine grains for several months, and this situation is already considered good in the courtyard. Many families only have light breakfast. It is said that the 3 masters, Yen Bugui calculated, but the 6 members of the Yen family also survived in this era because of Yen Bugui's calculation. Coming into this era means understanding it. Canteen chef He Yuzhu, film projector Su Damao, grade 8 fitter Yi Zhonghai, grade 7 forging worker Lu Haizhong. These people are all high-income groups of this era and cannot represent the lives of ordinary people in this era. Ordinary citizens can only be like the Yen family, calculating to exchange fine grains for coarse grains, saving everything in life, in order to solve the family's stomach problems. The Yen family represents the living standards of millions of ordinary workers. Red Star Middle School in Class 2 of Grade 3, Yen Jiecheng happily flipped through various textbooks. Currently, middle school only has Chinese, mathematics, foreign languages, physics, chemistry, biology, history, geography, and politics. It can only be said to be simple. This wave can only be said to be a rebirth and return to become a top student. Biology, history, geography and other subjects are not taken in the entrance exam, so they are not highly valued and can be ignored. Mathematics, physics, and chemistry are too basic for Yen Jiecheng. Chinese and politics only need to be memorized differently. The only trouble is that the foreign language of this era is Russian, which has its own memory, and with a quick learning, high scores are not difficult. It's just a pity that the English test band 6 is useless. The first math class is not very difficult. Yen Jiecheng began to wander beyond objects and make life plans for himself. In 2 more months, Yen Jiecheng will graduate from junior high school. Life is about to face its first big choice. The first path, which is the path that most students need to take. That means you can start working after graduating from junior high school. However, the current situation is that there are fewer job positions and a larger population. The competitive advantage of graduating from junior high school is not particularly significant. To find a formal job, one must have connections and connections. The original trajectory of Yen Jiecheng should have been Yen Bugui, who entrusted an old man named Yi Zhonghai to find a temporary worker at the steel rolling mill. This kind of job has no future, no hope of becoming a full-time employee, and no benefits. It's all dirty and tiring work that leads to finding temporary workers. The second way is to continue attending high school. Those who do well in high school can go to college, but unfortunately. The advantage of graduating from high school is to be assigned a job, but it's not necessarily which company to assign to. The third way is to attend vocational school, which requires higher grades than high school in this era. It can be considered the most guaranteed path, and both the graduate unit and the factory are eager to get it. By choosing a major, one can roughly know which units to work for. The state guarantees distribution, and salaries are also at the administrative level, which is now known as an iron rice bowl. After being admitted, it is necessary to celebrate and ensure a secure life in the future. After the reform and opening up, there are more ways to make money, and understanding social development can easily achieve financial freedom. In this life, I just want to be a wealthy and idle person with a happy heart, and enjoy life. Occasionally, I have the idea of helping the country's development, but when I think about it, I am not a research and development talent. I haven't mastered any useful skills, so I can only choose to live a flat life. Beijing household registration, with 2 rooms on the Second Ring Road, arranged by the government for work. There is also a beautiful daughter.in.law waiting for me. It can be said that Yen Jiecheng has now achieved the goal of his previous life struggle. Standing at the pinnacle of life. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 System. Ding, the energy has accumulated and the check that in system has started. As a traveler, the system is of course standard. There won't be any walkers without a system, will there? No way, no way. Congratulations on activating the host system and receiving a new sign in gift package. Reward talent. Heaven rewards diligence, keep a small world with you. Name. Jiecheng. Age. 16 power. 7 physical fitness. 8 speed. 9 spirit. 13, the average attribute of adult males is 10, talent. Heaven rewards diligence application skills. 60 out of 100 basic cooking skills, 82 out of 100 basic English skills, 102 out of 1000 intermediate driving skills, 521 out of 1000 intermediate programming skills from all aspects of the body. Only the spirit is higher than the average person due to the fusion of 2 lifetimes, and other physical qualities are not very good. On the one hand, it is not yet fully developed as an adult, and on the other hand, it is due to poor food and insufficient nutrition. In terms of skills, they have also been learned and exercised in the previous life. It can be said that nothing has been achieved in this life now. System, sign in. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 yuan of money and 1 pound of eggs. Jiecheng is already very satisfied with this reward. 1 yuan is the largest amount of money Jiecheng has had in 16 years. In this era, 1 kilogram of pork costs 0.78 yuan, 1 kilogram of flour costs 0.18 yuan, 1 kilogram of rice costs 0.23 yuan, and 1 kilogram of coarse grains costs 0.1 yuan. Unfortunately, there are no tickets. If there were tickets, this money would be enough for Jiecheng to eat a whole day. Eggs are now even more priceless, although the market price is 0.45 yuan per kilogram, there are egg tickets available. In the current situation, grain tickets cost 3 yuan per kilogram, and egg tickets cannot be found for sale. After finishing school at noon, Jiecheng hurriedly rushed home. Returning home, I locked myself in the room and entered a small world at any time, only to see that the world was not big but had sunshine and air. Now there is 1 acre of farmland, 10 acres of small hills, and 1 acre of ponds in little world. 3 small bungalows with green bricks and tiles, and a deep well. The house is empty inside, according to the system prompt, it is a warehouse. Coming out of the empty space, Jiecheng began using the space to collect items. Items within a radius of 1.3 meters can be directly collected and released. Just consume your mental energy, but if you consume too much mental energy, you will feel lethargic and have a headache. Don't ask him why, he knows. I'm tired of playing and starting to think about how to make use of space. Even if this is a very useless small world that cannot be accelerated by time, using it can ensure that I have enough food to eat. The most precious thing in this era is food. Jiecheng, what are you doing? You don't even know how to eat. Just thinking about the problem, the voice of the 3 mothers calling for food came over. Got it, come on now. Yan's lunch and breakfast are similar, but the pickled vegetables have been replaced with boiled cabbage, and the batter and steamed buns are not as difficult to swallow when hungry. It seems that everything tastes good when you're hungry. What's better for lunch is that everyone can eat an extra wow or two. Even 13-year-old Yan Jiefang and 11-year-old Yan Jiecheng have not had enough to eat, and the only child in the family who has enough to eat is 6-year-old Yan Jieti. That's right, 6-year-old children can eat 2 steamed buns at this time when there is no oil or water, while others can only eat a little more batter, water is full. After eating Yan Jiecheng went out without letting the second and third follow. Jiecheng was preparing to go shopping, but he couldn't explain when he brought the eggs home, so he had to secretly eat them himself. I chose a pottery jar for bowls, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, matches, chopsticks, and spoons from a supply and marketing company that is a little away from home. I spent all the remaining money on a dozen or so fruit candies for just 1 yuan. After leaving the supply and marketing cooperative, I found a deserted place to put everything in the space and arrived at an abandoned courtyard nearby. Find some dead branches, rotten leaves, and broken doors and windows in the receiving space, and start boiling eggs. If you can't buy an iron pot and oil, you can only deal with it this way. 1 kilogram of eggs has 10 because they are relatively small. After cooking, I ate 4 in a row to be considered full. Only come out after the space is full. There are only 3 classes in the afternoon, and middle school students nowadays are really happy. There is no homework or evening self-study. Fortunately, there were quite a few students in the class, and Jiecheng still sat in a golden fishing spot with the back seat by the window. The courses Jie teaches are used to make up for the subjects he doesn't know. There is still time to observe one's classmates. From the clothes, it can be seen that most of the family conditions are relatively average, and the clothes are worn in a white color with some patches. Jiecheng's clothes are still good because he is his eldest son, and there are rarely any patches. Now, due to the underdeveloped light industry in the country, each person only has 12 feet of cloth tickets per year, which means that for an adult, they can only wear half-length single clothes. The clothes are all new for 3 years, old for 3 years, and sewing and patching for another 3 years. The situation of the Yan family is that Jiecheng wore new for 3 years, and Jifang liberated the old for 3 years. Jiecheng had to sew and mend for another 3 years, all of which were worn by older children, and continued by younger children below. Like classmates who dress well, either high-ranking children, or those with fewer children at home. Finally, Jiecheng is the eldest child in the family. My classmates are all thin and there are very few fat people in the same class. Nowadays, fat people all say they have good luck. Being a fat person is a very prestigious thing, indicating that the family has good conditions. Female classmates are also quite beautiful, but now is an era where we cannot casually fall in love. Just watch and nourish your eyes. The whole afternoon was spent reviewing homework and daydreaming. I declined the invitation for Liu Guangqi and Huzi to play and went home alone. Liu Guangqi and Huzi are Jiecheng's 2 best friends, both from nearby quadrangles. Parents also work in steel mills. The 3rd steel rolling mill has over 10,000 employees, most of whom live nearby. More than 10,000 employees, which means more than 10,000 families, and tens of thousands of people are pointing to the steel rolling mill to eat. So in school and courtyard houses, most of the people I come into contact with are people related to the steel rolling mill. Jiecheng doesn't want to go out and play games such as rolling iron rings, cockfighting, hide and seek, slingshot, and kites. This kind of game can occasionally be nostalgic, but Jiecheng, who has experienced the explosive era of entertainment, doesn't have that much interest in it. As soon as she returned to the courtyard, Jiecheng happily ran over and said, "Big brother, take me out to play. I've been sitting at home all day. What about your 2nd and 3rd brothers? Why didn't you go out to play with them?" Neither of them came back, only Dad came back alone. Jiecheng had no choice but to tell his parents to take Jiecheng out for shopping. Nowadays, it's mostly older children who play with them, so later on there were many children who were raised by older brothers and sisters. There are not so many convenient household appliances now, so there is a lot of household chores. Having 3 meals a day takes a lot of time, and women are also responsible for washing clothes, cleaning, sewing and patching. Because ready-made clothes are too expensive, I also have to be responsible for making clothes and shoes for my family. When I have some free time, I have to go to the street to pick up some gigs to subsidize my family. So when the children at home don't have to go to school, they are left to their older brothers and sisters to play with. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Introduction to the Thief Saint. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Introduction to the Thief Saint. Taking Yan Jiechi out of the courtyard, there were many children playing at the entrance of the alley, some playing with wooden figures, some playing with eagles catching chicks, some digging sand on the roadside, and some playing with soil and mud. I have nothing to do but fight and wrestle. The little girls are relatively quiet. They are all jumping rubber bands, jumping houses, throwing handkerchiefs, and so on. I found 2 buddies for Yan Jiechi to play with and jump rubber bands, with each of them having 1 candy to handle. They all live nearby, even if they don't know their names, they still look familiar. Playing games is the more people there are, the more fun it is. Generally speaking, you can add it to play. Yan Jiecheng came to the roadside to watch the old man on the street, playing chess. Although Yan Jiecheng's level of chess is not high and he has not even developed basic skills, it can still be seen that both masters are stinky chess baskets. The 2 of them are chess players who can match each other well, and the killing is difficult to distinguish. 7 or 8 gentlemen on the side, give me a command and I won't determine the winner for half an hour. Finally, let's take a look at the draw. Some people who play chess on the roadside really enjoy playing, while others just enjoy the excitement. These 2 people obviously just enjoy the hustle and bustle outside, playing chess while chatting about big things. The news from all over the world comes from these places. Which couple got into a fight, which family got promoted, and the Dongjia Changli family's short message is quite interesting, true or false. Just as I was listening to my happiness, a scream came from behind, I want to eat sugar, wow wow, I want to eat sugar. Upon hearing the sound, isn't this a small stick meme? It looks like she's 5 or 6 years old, about the same size as Yan Jiechi, with a pot lid on her head. She looks quite cute, crying loudly on the ground, rolling on the ground while crying. Is this being coveted? It turned out that Yan Jiechi and her 2 buddies were eating candy and were discovered by Bang Gung. Nowadays, children rarely eat candy and are not familiar with other people. How could other children share it with them? After unsuccessful attempts, the stick meme began to roll around. There are not so many children like this. So mischievous, so greedy. The key is that I haven't seen their parents around. Who is this for? The stick stem was streaming with tears. His throwing and rolling skills are clearly superior to his grandmother's. Nowadays, the conditions of the great meme family are not bad. Jia Dongxiu is currently a second-level fitter with a monthly salary of 37 yuan. As a heavy physical labor, fitters weigh over 40 kilograms of grain per month. There are various subsidies in the factory, and the conditions are much better than those of the Yan family. It's not uncommon for the Qiao family to eat good food, even a penny candy stick meme can do this. This situation is solved by the children of their own families. Nowadays, the people who make money are not off work, they are all children and elderly people, and no one is going to send candy to Bangji. Yan Jiecheng has sugar, but with so many people watching, it's not appropriate to give stick memes on his own. It doesn't conform to the style of the Yan family, and when they return home, they will still be questioned. Bang Ji is still a white-eyed wolf. I didn't want to cause this trouble either. The stick meme looked like crying for so long without any effect, which is different from the situation at home. Stand up, pat your butt and run towards the courtyard. After a while, Jiecheng came out with a stick and the 2 of them walked towards the supply and marketing cooperative. Yan Jiecheng can also be considered to understand how much the Jia family dotes on their children. Children have everything they need to cry and make fun of, which is why they have developed this kind of character of being awesome. Children nowadays are not as delicate as those in later generations, and children from other families are not like this. If they were second uncle children, they would have been slapped long ago. Nowadays, people are nervous when eating steamed buns. They cry and make a scene, and then buy candy to eat. The conditions of the Jia family are indeed good. Now there are 5 people, although the Jiecheng family, Qinhuai Ru, and their 2 children do not have food reserves and do not have cheap food supply. But in the past, grain tickets were not expensive, fine grain tickets were only 20 cents, and coarse grain tickets were cheaper. The Qiao family also saved a lot of money and bought the first sewing machine in the courtyard. Others are at most envious when they see it, and there is not much malice. The Qiao family's current situation of indulging their children cannot be said to have too many problems. However, these have nothing to do with Jiecheng. Jiecheng only wants to live his own life well, and the people and things in the courtyard are not something that Jiecheng can participate in now. It would be great if one could educate their younger siblings well if they had the conditions. There is no need to vent one's anger for the silly pillar. Zi Feiyu knows the joy of the fish. After coming here, he realized that things are far from as simple as they seem on the surface. It's 60 years now, and silly pillar is also 25 years old. Why don't you get married? Now Jia Dongxiu is still living well, Qinhuairu is not a widow, and there is not much influence on silly Zhu to find a partner, right? Why is silly Zhu still single? Young men from normal families usually get married at the age of 20. On the one hand, silly Zhu did not receive any guidance from his elders. Although silly Zhu did not miss blind dates, no one made a decision for him. On the other hand, silly Zhu's vision is too high. After meeting Qinhuairu, he no longer looks up to other women. Jia Dongxiu, a new generation figure in the courtyard, married Qinhuairu. Although she has a rural household registration, at least her appearance is top-notch and her figure is graceful. Silly Zhu's arch-nemesis Su Dumao married a capitalist lady, who was 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, in terms of appearance, culture, and temperament. As the god of war in the quadrangle, the young generation of foolish pillars who carry the weight of their shoulders certainly do not want to be compared. Her face and figure cannot be inferior to those of Qinhuairu, and her culture and temperament are not inferior to those of Liu Shaoyi. Her household registration is also local in the 4 or 9 cities. But even if there are such conditions, it's impossible to find someone with such conditions like silly pillar. The head chef of the steel rolling mill cafeteria, a 9th-level cook, earns a monthly salary of 32, and has a younger sister who is a drag on oil. You can bring back various leftovers from the factory, not lacking in food and drink, and also help others make banquets to earn extra income. This kind of condition is certainly very popular for marrying an ordinary woman, but the requirements of the foolish pillar are too high. We have been on blind dates time and time again, and each time we don't like it, so the matchmaker doesn't want to come to our door. When Yen Jiti gets tired of playing, she will be ready to eat when she returns home. The dinner has finally changed its style. Sweet potato rice is quite delicious, but you can't eat too much sweet potatoes. If you eat too much, you will feel bloated and eat it about once a day. Eating too much sweet potatoes can stimulate the secretion of a large amount of stomach acid, which can reflux into the esophagus, causing problems such as acid reflux and heartburn. After dinner, it was already dark, and in order to save electricity, Yan's family, like most others, basically did not turn on the lights. Jiecheng lay in bed and began planning his own small world, using 1 acre of farmland to grow staple food. Planting rice, wheat, and corn is difficult to obtain in cities. It is still very difficult to obtain dozens of pounds of seeds by considering purchasing from rural areas. You can plant some fruit trees and vegetables on the hills. It can also be used for breeding, and this will be considered when there is feed available. Vegetable seeds can be purchased, but not much is needed. Fruit trees can only go to the mountains to dig trees. You can also raise some fish in the pond, which is simple. Collect some fish fry by the river and let them grow up in the space. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Shichahai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Shichahai. Accompanied by the sound of the drum tower bell, everyone in the courtyard began to get up busily, wash themselves, and pour out the night pot. What Yan Jiecheng was most dissatisfied with was the restroom in the quadrangle courtyard. When the quadrangle courtyard was not converted into a large courtyard, of course, there was a restroom. How to talk about the big houses in Nanluoga Lane? They used to be houses where high-ranking officials and nobles lived, and the conditions were very good in all aspects. After the house was nationalized and the common people were arranged to live in, the toilet was cleaned and converted into a small ear room, which could also accommodate more households. The toilets in the courtyard have been converted into public toilets outside the courtyard, and every household has night pots for use at night. The current toilet is a dry toilet, with many people, a strong odor, and poor hygiene conditions. Toilet problems are even more unacceptable than not being able to take a shower. Yesterday, Yan Jiecheng's personal hygiene issues were all solved in a small world. System, sign in. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2 yuan of money and 5 pounds of white noodles. Today is a good day, everything I want to do can come true. Yan Jiecheng hummed a tune happily, and it was another day of big profits. The black market price of 5 pounds of white noodles is at least 16 yuan, and this attendance is almost half a month's salary of Yan Bugui, the 3 masters. In the 21st century, of course, we won't care about this thing, but under the current circumstances, it is a considerable wealth. My mood has improved, and the batter and steamed buns have become delicious. After dinner, everyone went their separate ways. Yan Jiecheng went to junior high school, while Yan Bugui led Yan Jiefang and Yan Jiecheng to Red Star Elementary School. The 3 mothers are at home with Yan Jieti. At this time, they attend the childcare Red class, which is a double working family. When there is no one at home to take care of the children, they send them over. The childcare Red class only takes the children to play and learn some basic knowledge, so it is called a daycare center. Children aged 3 to 7 or 8 can send them over. So Yan Jieti doesn't need to go to the Yuhong class. The third aunt can take her home and play with her friends in the yard, as long as she doesn't leave the courtyard. Red Star Middle School Yan Jiecheng studied diligently for a whole day, unsure whether it was the fusion of souls from 2 lifetimes or the role of natural talent in rewarding diligence. Yan Jiecheng's memory has greatly improved, which cannot be said to be unforgettable at first glance, but by reading it multiple times, the text and vocabulary can be easily memorized. Continuing to study at this pace, vocational school can only be said to be as easy as exploring a bag. Yan Jiecheng is already considering his opponents in the finals and preparing to brush up on his farming and planting skills. There are definitely no conditions for hands-on learning, only reading books to learn. Another task has been added. When I have time, I will go to the library to buy books on planting and breeding. After school, Lu Shitu and Huzi were invited to play in Shichahai. 3 people took Route 11 and arrived at Shichahai in just half an hour, only to see people fishing at the good fishing spots by the river. Some are fishing enthusiasts, and there are also more fishing enthusiasts who, in order to supplement their nutrition, do not have enough food to eat. There are a group of anglers fishing by the river, big and small. The newly grown wild vegetables in the suburbs have also been dug up. People of the foodie ethnic group can always find various ways to supplement their food. Yan Jiecheng came to a river with lush water and grass, and scattered the half of the nest left over from noon into the river. When he saw a small fish coming, he put it away. They are all small fry with fingers long, mostly carp, grass carp, crucian carp, silver carp, and some small shrimp. They have collected some of the water grass and algae and received them into the small world. 3 people are watching fishing by the river and chatting about their future lives. It won't be long before we graduate from junior high school, and everyone will have to go their separate ways in the future. Lu Shitu's studies are average, but his father is the director of the 3rd workshop of the steel rolling mill and has already agreed to work as an apprentice at the factory. This is where there is a way. Graduates from junior high school can enter the factory directly, and upon graduation, they can earn a monthly apprenticeship salary of 27.5 yuan. The factory will distribute work clothes and various labor protection supplies. Enjoy the benefits of the factory. Huzi's academic performance is good, and he will consider taking the vocational school entrance exam because he has many children at home and hopes to earn money early. If he cannot get into vocational school, he will not go to high school. With the face of his father, a level 6 fitter, he can also be arranged to work as a temporary worker in a steel rolling mill, and if he finds an opportunity, he can become an apprentice. You can also earn 18 yuan per month, but the work clothes, labor protection equipment, and holiday benefits are much worse than others. Jiecheng also told the two people that he was preparing to study in a vocational school. Previously, Jiecheng's grades were only above average, and neither of them believed that Jiecheng could be admitted to a vocational school. It would be great if the three of them went to work at a steel rolling mill together. After 9 years of studying together, they worked in the same unit. The three of them began to imagine their future lives, and Liu Guangqi said he would wait until he entered the factory. After working for 3 years and transitioning to a first-level worker, I have to propose marriage to Liu Mimi in the first class. Huzi said that after work, one should live a life of eating meat and drinking alcohol in large bowls. Jiecheng can only tell two people that there will be bread and milk, and the life he wants will come true. 3 people have no alcohol, and if there is alcohol, they should always be punctual. The 3 of them chatted happily, each with a clear plan for life and full of hope for the future. To live a better life and contribute one's own strength to the country. In this era, everyone is full of hope for life, work, life, and the country. This positive attitude towards life is something that a coder will never experience. Jiecheng only hopes to live a good life in this era, watching the changes of the times. It took over an hour to collect only a few hundred small fish fry, and the maximum was not a pound. Due to excessive mental exhaustion, Jiecheng's face turned white and he felt dizzy, so he stopped. 3 people strolled around the river, starting to watch the fishermen's harvest. Every time a big fish is caught, it can attract a group of people to watch. This silver carp weighs 5 pounds. Master, I only caught 2 small fry. This fish is enough for a family to eat for a few days. This fishing rod is professional, ordinary fishing rods can't catch it. Most of the fishing rods used are self-made, with only some imported fishing rods used by experts. There is a significant increase in the number of fishing enthusiasts in Shichahai, and there are not many fish that are most suitable for eating, weighing 1 or 2 pounds. The difficulty of fishing has greatly increased. Actually, it is known that there are many huge objects inside, but most of them cannot be caught. Anything weighing more than 5 pounds can attract onlookers. Air Force is 1, Air Force is 2. Most of them are Air Forces, they are too competitive, there is a lot of competition, and there are many small fish fry, all kinds of fish. I also saw that there are people who need crucian carp the most, and it should be for pregnant women to replenish their bodies. I am willing to spend a lot of money to exchange for fish. Time is running out, and Jiecheng caught 3 crabs, each with 1 to take home and play with. Fishing men never become Air Force. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Bugui's Weekend. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Bugui's Weekend, System, Sign In. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 yuan of money, 10 apple seedlings. The YYDS system allows seedlings to sign in, so you don't have to make things difficult for yourself. Originally, seeds and saplings were a major challenge. Everyone is ready to adventure into the black market, so the system dad brings warmth. A life that lies flat is so dull and uninteresting. What kind of black market should we go to? What should we do if we get caught in the black market? What should I do if I am notified to the school? What are the future prospects and what kind of vocational school are you taking? Why marry Yuli without a job? How can I protect myself from not even being a worker in the future? What risks should we take when we are already at the pinnacle of our lives? Everything should be stable. Never turn a hand of Jianhu cards into a bad one. The breakfast at the Yan family is almost the same every day. Today is Sunday, and even Yan Bugui eats a steamed bun. No wonder one in the courtyard is strong, the second is fat, and the third is so thin that even a gust of wind is about to blow away. Now it is a 6-day work week, with weekends off, and all adults and children in the courtyard are on vacation. After breakfast, the third master Yan Bugui began to stand at the entrance of the courtyard, watering the flowers and plants with an old watering can while chatting with people coming in and out. Lao Li, today I'm going back to my mother's house with my wife and children. His aunt, the vegetables he bought today are fresh enough. These scallions are really good. His third uncle, watering the flowers. The dishes at the market today are really good, so I bought a little more and will bring you some stir-fried vegetables for lunch. Yan's little onion +3, successfully caught a big mother with 3 small onions. Pillar, where are we going to make a banquet today? We're leaving so early. Today is a long journey, so I need to go ahead. It's getting late, so I'll leave first, third master. Rain, why don't you go play with your classmates today? This is the daily life of Sandiyi. When he has nothing to do, he stands at the doorstep. Yan's family is in the front courtyard of the courtyard, the closest to the gate of the courtyard. The threshold for a quadrangle is high, and if there is anything that needs to be moved or lifted, Yan Bugui will bring his family with him to help. The Beijing men were so embarrassed that they would bring some small gifts, some candies, a piece of dim sum, a drink for the third uncle, and a few cigarettes when others helped them. The third master gained a reputation for being calculating, also to reduce some burden on the family. The Yan family's motto is, you can't be poor in food, you can't be poor in drinking, and if you can't calculate, you'll be poor. Every time Yan Bugui successfully took advantage, he would repeat the Yan family's teachings when he returned. The children of the Yan family will not provide elderly care for the elderly in the later stage. Yan Bugui's problem is really not big, it is that these children have not been educated well. Yan Bugui worked hard to raise his 4 children, providing them with food, drink, education, and marriage. I have fulfilled my parental responsibilities and will try my best to ensure fairness in my family's food, drink, and use. It is completely understandable for children to pay their living expenses after work. Most families also do this. Although sometimes they may do things that ordinary people cannot understand, such as charging their own children's room fees, it is not a reason why Yan family children do not support their parents. Yan Jiecheng was bored reading expired newspapers brought back by Yan Bugui in his room. Nowadays, most newspapers are subscribed to by various units. After the newspapers are read by the units, the timeliness will pass and they can be taken home by the employees. It can solve hygiene problems, start a fire, and sell waste paper. Yan Jifang and Yan Jiquang went out to play together again, and these 2 children were almost inseparable, with a small age difference. Liu Guangqi and Liu Guangfu from Uncle Air's family can be said to be a small gang. 3 aunties took Yan Jiti out to go shopping at supply and marketing cooperatives and grain stores, supplementing the family's supply of firewood, rice, oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, and tea. When they all went out, Yan Jiecheng began to enter the small world with a shovel, digging holes, planting trees and watering. 10 apple tree species were planted on the hill. The apple seedlings are over 2 meters tall, and it seems that they may bear fruit this year. I don't know what to pay attention to, but it's always right to plant them first. This body is too weak. Planting a few trees makes me exhausted. I ate the last 2 eggs and drank well water. The well water in the small world is refreshing and sweet, but after drinking it, there is not much rebirth or marrow washing. Just a slightly better taste, it would definitely be good for brewing tea. Start exercising when you have enough to eat, and it's best to learn some martial arts and fighting. To live in a quadrangle for a long time, military strength cannot be inferior to that of the quadrangle god of war, Silly Pillar. Silly Zhu has never lacked a mouth since childhood. He grew up eating meat when he was full, and he also exercised his strength by making big pot vegetables at the steel rolling mill. His strength was much greater than that of ordinary people, and hitting the tall and sturdy Su Damao was similar to hitting a child. After finishing the work, it was almost noon and all the family members had returned. Nowadays, children don't even need to shout when they eat, and by the time they eat, they will all come back. Children from ordinary families are not picky eaters, they are too easy to support. The third master was very happy to have another dry fungus brought back by Su Damao. Yen Bugui began to teach him the book of calculation. I can't be poor in food, I can't be poor in drinking, and if I can't calculate, I'll be poor. Today, I saw Su Damao come back from playing a movie in the countryside again, praised him a few times, and then exchanged him for a pair of dried fungus. You can make 2 more dishes now, learn some. Liberation and liberation, you two should not keep getting your clothes so dirty. If you wash them too much, they will become even more torn. Sitting at an 8 immortals table were 6 members of the Yen family, with a pot of batter, 1 person, 1 bowl, 6 steamed buns, the size of a fist, and a plate of sour and spicy cabbage, with a green onion given to you by an old lady and oil added. This could be considered the most sumptuous meal for the Yen family after merging memories. After dinner, Yen Bugui will go fishing in the afternoon. Yen Jiecheng took the opportunity to propose to go fishing as well and obtained a self-made fishing rod. I used 3 candies to kill Jiefeng and Jiecheng. In the afternoon, I took Jie Di to play and went out. The fishing rod was just a cover, and Yen Jiecheng was preparing to go to the city library and Xinhua bookstore to find books. Holding a huge sum of 3 yuan can buy several books. Take a bus to the library, and at this time, the bus is Skoda 706 RTO, manufactured by the Krosa factory in Czechoslovakia. It is a replacement model for the 706 RO, and its design is very beautiful. Its body length is 10.8 meters, body width is 2.5 meters, and it can carry 50 people. The power is a 706 RT 6-cylinder diesel engine with a displacement of 11.8 liters, with a maximum power of 160 horsepower and a maximum speed of 70 kilometers. This is a newly imported bus, and the riding experience is pretty good. The ticket price is 1.5 cents, but it's a bit crowded. Coming to Xinhua bookstore, there are so many people learning how to charge. Encyclopedia of Chinese Planting and Breeding Technology, Scientific Planting and Breeding, a complete collection of scientific fish farming, 200 common plant cultivation and maintenance techniques, practical practice of free-range farming of local chickens in mountainous areas, postpartum care of sows. I really saw this divine book. Apart from the divine book, I took it all away, bought 5 major books, and spent more than 2 yuan. I went home and slowly read them. Return to Nanluoga Lane, take out the fishing rod, hang a small cushion carp weighing less than 1 pound with a straw rope, and carry a 5-pound white noodle bag home. When I got home, the third master had not returned yet. I happened to find the third aunt while the third master was not there. Mom, I'm lucky today. I caught a big fish and exchanged 5 pounds of white noodles with someone. Let's have noodles tonight, she said, handing the fish and flour in her hand to the third aunt. Our family hasn't eaten fine grain for a long time. Since it was you fishing for it, let's have some today. I'll make mixed sauce noodles for you tonight. You go buy some soybean sauce and sweet noodle sauce, said the third lady, more dignified than Yen. But the 3 aunties gave Yen Jiecheng 2 cents, 2 glass bottles to buy sauce, and Yen Jiecheng went to the supply and marketing cooperative to buy 1 cent. These were about enough to eat 2 meals. When he returned, the 3 aunties had already made up the noodles. Although Yen Jiecheng had some basic cooking skills, he really didn't know how to roll noodles by hand. With a learning attitude, he watched the 3 aunties roll noodles. Nowadays, housewives are really efficient in doing household chores, only taking about 10 minutes. Noodles for 6 people are the best. Starting to stir-fry mixed sauce again, the fragrant taste can be smelled throughout the entire quadrangle courtyard. It can be said that when every house is done well now, people inside the courtyard can smell it. Stir-fry the sauce, tidy up the small crucian carp, dip it in some oil, fry the fish, and make a pot of crucian carp soup. You don't need to eat the batter tonight. It takes over an hour to cook a meal using this coal-burning stove, and the 3 little ones who came back from playing are all swallowing their saliva, waiting for Yen Bugui to come home and eat. When Yen Bugui returned, he was carrying 2 small grass carp, which added up to about a pound. Today's harvest was also good. Yen Bugui's fishing skills were decent, but he was not willing to lay a nest by digging 2 earthworms and went fishing. Occasionally, even if I catch big fish, I don't want to eat on my own. I always go to the cafeteria of the steel rolling mill to find silly pillars and exchange them for various tickets or money. The ones I bring home are all too small for anyone to collect. Boiling them into fish soup is considered a way to improve the food at home. Oh, what did you do today? You made it so delicious. I had mixed sauce noodles today. Jia caught a big fish and exchanged 5 pounds of white noodles. I thought my child hadn't eaten fine grains for a long time, so I made mixed sauce noodles. After waiting for noodles, Yen Bugui began to criticize the 3 ants. How can you make noodles? 5 gene of white noodles can be exchanged for coarse grains for a week. Even if you don't change coarse grains, making mantou with noodles can improve the food for a week. Not all of them were made into noodles, and after making 1 meal, it only weighed over a pound. To put it this way, Yen Bugui is still very happy with 5 pounds of flour. Grasping a few peanuts and pouring a glass of loose wine mixed with water, Yen Bugui started drinking alone. Eating too much wawatu and then having another meal of mixed sauce noodles is truly a burst of happiness. Happiness is all about comparison. When others are eating steamed buns, eating mixed sauce noodles on your own can create a sense of superiority. 1 bowl of fish soup per person, and another bowl of noodle soup, which is rare for the Yen family to eat too much. The dish was done very well today. It's a lot of trouble to make fish, and it costs a lot of oil and seasoning. If it's white noodles, the family can eat several more meals of fine grains. Son of a bitch, if you double the salt in today's mixed sauce, you can have 2 meals. You don't know how to save it all. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Liu Guangqi's Marriage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Liu Guangqi's marriage. Time rushed to June, and a scorching sun mercilessly grilled the earth. It had not rained heavily for a long time. The big girls and little daughter-in-law on the street also took off their big cotton jackets, at least they could see the beautiful curves. Occasionally, a little girl wearing a brag passing by can be considered a beautiful scenery. Yen Jiecheng has also gained a lot in the past month, perhaps because his strong desire was heard by the system father. Most of the rewards related to attendance are used to build a small world. Half an acre of wheat and half an acre of corn have also been sown for a month. There is also a large area of various vegetables on the hill, including rapeseed, water spinach, eggplant, potatoes, chives, scallions, ginger, garlic, chili peppers, winter melon, watermelon, pumpkin, cucumber, and tomatoes. There is also a dense growth of a large area. There are pear trees, peach trees, apple trees, persimmon trees, grape trees, cherry trees, hawthorn trees, jujube trees, fig trees, and pomegranate trees, all of which have dozens or more. There is also a nest of bees unexpectedly harvested by Yen Jiecheng, 2 old hens who don't lay eggs much, and 1 rooster. System, sign in. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 yuan of money and 1 pound of sunflower seeds. Name: Yen Jiecheng. Age: 16. Strength: 7, 8, physical fitness. 8, 9, speed. 9, spirit. 13, 14, the average attribute of adult males is 10, talent. Heaven rewards diligence application skills. Beginner cooking 60, 82/100, beginner English 82/100, intermediate driving 102/1000, intermediate programming 521/1000, beginner planting 12 out of 100, beginner farming 5 out of 100 after more than a month of dietary supplementation and exercise. With the slow improvement of physical fitness caused by the well water in the space, physical strength, physical fitness, and mental health have increased slightly. Cooking skills have also made significant progress due to the use of small stoves. It also illuminates the cultivation and breeding skills, and when skills are upgraded, the system will help integrate and enlighten a lot of knowledge. Yan Jie's achievements now count as an old farmer in the countryside. I also signed in for a few tens of yuan in a month, bought various kitchen utensils, stoves, and had nothing left of 3 chickens. There is a happy event in the courtyard today, and Yan Jiefang was also curious about what to do in this era. He didn't go out on Sundays and waited to see Liu Guangqi's bride. Liu Guangqi, the eldest son of the second uncle Liu Haizhong. The eldest son, who is highly valued by the Liu family, has never been beaten and can drink and eat eggs with the second uncle. At the age of 20, after graduating from junior high school, he entered the steel rolling mill as a temporary worker thanks to his reputation as a 7th-level forging worker. After 3 years of unremitting efforts by the second master, he finally became a formal apprentice with a monthly salary of 27.5 yuan. Just passed the technical assessment of the steel rolling mill and officially became a first-level worker with a monthly salary of 33 yuan, which is the pride of the second master. In order to help Liu Guangqi hold a wedding banquet during such difficult times, the second uncle. The house is clean and tidy, with bright red letters of happiness pasted on the windows and a celebration of becoming a good couple next to the door. Let's celebrate our marriage today. Highlighted, as written by the 3 masters, more than 10 wedding candies were obtained. Various relatives and friends arrived one after another, with gifts ranging from 1 cent, 3 cents, 5 cents, and 1 yuan, showing varying degrees of closeness and distance. Yan Bugui sat next to an 8 immortals table, memorizing the gift list. There are peanuts, melon seeds, candies, and front door cigarettes placed on the table. In the courtyard, an old man would give a gift of 1 yuan, while the third old man, Su Damao, and Silly Pillar would receive 5 cents. Other families with good conditions would receive 3 cents, while those with difficulties would also receive 1 cent. Liu Guangqi was wearing a brand new Zhongshan suit, with a big red flower hanging on his chest. He rode his bike and went to pick up the bride with his colleagues. Yan Jiecheng also wanted to go with him, but unfortunately, he was still a child without a job and didn't take him to play. After about an hour, I heard a child shouting loudly, "The bride is here." A burst of firecrackers burst out. A dozen or so small whips with 100 sounds were set off. Liu Guangqi walked over with the bride, and the wedding officially began. The neighbors in the courtyard all set out their own tables and chairs. Take your own bowls and chopsticks at home, and the backyard of a quadrangle is filled with people. The wedding MC begins to preside over the ceremony. The first item. Everyone sang the revolutionary song Dongfang Hong, and Dongfang Hong's singing echoed in the courtyard. The second item. Read quotes from great figures, the MC reads 1 sentence, and everyone reads 1 sentence, grasp revolution and promote production. Thirdly, read out the marriage certificate. Fourth item. The groom and bride bow 3 times to the statue of a great figure. Finally, the wedding ended with the song, Sailing in the Sea Depends on the Helmsman, and All Things Grow on the Sun. Opening ceremony, 6 courses. Chicken stewed with mushrooms, braised carp in brown sauce, pork stewed with noodles, fried eggs with leeks, fried peanuts, sushi meatballs, mantou with 2 noodles, and chiffon wine. Of course, none of this has anything to do with Yan Jiecheng. There are the couple of the second eldest son, the groom and bride, the bride's parents, the leaders of the steel rolling mill, the first and third eldest sons in the courtyard at the table. Other relatives and friends are not bad, whether adults or children, 1 bowl of pork and cabbage stewed vermicelli, free wine to drink, 2 double-face mantou. The dishes made with meat and oil are indeed quite delicious. Although I didn't see any meat, today's rice was not a waste of anticipation, much better than the Yan family's rice. Everyone praises Grandpère for his awkwardness. This wedding cannot be held for a few hundred yuan. The second uncle also bought a watch for Liu Guangqi and bought a radio at home. No wonder in the future, Liu Guangtian and Liu Guangfu will say that their eldest brother spent all the money at home after getting married. The wedding of Liu Guangqi, the second uncle's family, can be considered the most spectacular one held by a quadrangle courtyard. Su Damao and Liu Xiaoyi also did not have much experience due to their background. Other people's weddings can only be said to be insignificant. Yes, it's about the Qiao family. At that time, the conditions were much better than they are now. In Yan Jiecheng's memory, the family only had 2 pieces of sugar, boiled cabbage, and steamed buns. Yan Jiecheng cried bitterly at that time. After eating, the men dispersed, and the women helped clean the table and wash the dishes. The bare children gathered around the bride, chatting with her. Those who could say auspicious words could also grab a few candies to eat, leaving only half-aged children like Yan Jiecheng with nothing to do. The wedding will only be considered over after seeing off relatives and friends. Wedding in this era is still very interesting and commemorative. Lively, festive, and joyful, the second uncle is also very kind to the boss. The feudal lords had a long style of work, with their eldest son leading the household. Liu Guangtian and Liu Guangfu were beaten every day and every 2, and they believed in the education method of filial piety comes from under the stick. When Yan Bugui returned home, he had already drunk too much. The alcohol tolerance was improved by mixing it with water. If he went to drink really high alcohol, it wouldn't be like pouring a glass. For Yan Bugui's banquet, it is advisable to eat and drink as much as possible, and for the next meal, you can eat less at your own house. These are all minor issues, and Yan Jiecheng did not intend to change Yan Bugui's decades-old habits. With the development of the times and the prosperity of people's lives, these small problems will naturally disappear. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Liu Guangqi Runs Away. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Liu Guangqi Runs Away. Yan Jiecheng continues his family school life on the 2 front lines. On the weekend, under the pretext of fishing, I brought home some white noodles, rice, and xiaomi to improve my family's life. Steal the meat, eggs, and vegetables that are difficult to take out to supplement nutrition. The small world has already begun to produce, and even small vegetables and rapeseed seedlings can be eaten. Yan Jiecheng is enjoying his leisurely life. He has completed all the subjects for tutoring, and it cannot be said that he will definitely get a full score. It is still easy to get close to the full score. Upon returning to the quadrangle, I heard a lot of discussion in the courtyard. Liu Guangqi, from the second master's family, secretly signed up to support other places. I only left one sentence for Grandpère: I don't want to have my own child in the future, just watch his grandfather beat the child. With a wave of his sleeve, he took his wife, watch, wedding clothes, and bedding and left. I'm so angry that I didn't even eat any food. Liu Guangqi is also a ruthless person. In order to escape the courtyard, he can be transferred to the northwest. Of course, it is a good thing for the country. A well-trained fitter and junior high school student can be considered a talent anywhere. Being able to go to remote areas to support national development is certainly beneficial. He is just an ordinary worker in the steel rolling mill. He is a valuable talent in a small factory. For Liu Guangqi's future, there can also be better development, and the level of attention he receives in his unit will definitely vary. Individuals have better development in both technology and treatment. But the living conditions are definitely more difficult, although the 4 or 9 cities, as a type of region, have the lowest wages and welfare benefits on the surface, the worst. But we guarantee sufficient supply here, and there are still more resources in the capital, such as unplanned materials and industrial products. In other places, it is possible that even if you have money or tickets, you cannot buy them. It is understandable that Liu Guangqi and Liu Guangfu ran away. I really don't understand Liu Guangqi's brain circuit. The child that the Liu family values the most, enjoys the best resources, and if you don't want to see it, you can move out to a courtyard and rent a house. Spending thousands of miles with one rod, just to not live with the second uncle. The second uncle had just been in a daze for a few days due to the limited atmosphere of his eldest son's wedding, and he was suddenly devastated. I used to walk with my head up, but now I'm avoiding people. I heard that the hammer in the workshop is too weak to swing. Neighbors are also discussing it. In this era, there are no personal matters, and most housewives do not need to work overtime. They work together every day. The best disseminator of gossip news, various rumors have added some legendary colors to their circulation. I heard that the big kid from Liu Haizhong's family ran away as soon as he got married. That's right, I followed my wife and went to my mother's house. I heard that Liu Haizhong wanted to beat his daughter.in.law, so the big kid ran away with his daughter.in.law. No, I heard the couple got into a fight with Liu Haizhong. You're all wrong. My neighbor's aunt's youngest son's brother.in.law is from their courtyard house. I heard he broke off his father-son relationship with Liu Haizhong and ran away. In a word, the news spread all over the alleys of Nanluoga Lane. All kinds of situations and versions say that their own news is first-hand and true. Actually, everyone knows that their own unknown news is mostly not closely related to the facts, but rather for the sake of freshness. Everyone listens happily. In the courtyard, it may seem like a small matter to everyone. It still influenced the thoughts of a large number of people. Silly Zhu thought that even Liu Guangqi had gotten married and went out with his wife to enjoy life. I'm 25 years old and still an old bachelor. I'm going to take something to see matchmaker Liu. Silly Zhu wants to marry his wife. Liu Guangtian and Liu Guangfu secretly made up their minds to learn from their elder brother and move out of the courtyard after getting married. Su Dumao thought to himself that Liu Guangqi is a ruthless person. When Liu Guangqi comes back, the two of them will have a good chat. I, Su Dumao, need this kind of talent. Qin Huiru thought it would be great if Jia Dongxiu could take her, Bang Gung, and Xiao Dang to work in another city, so that he could get rid of this lazy mother.in.law at home. An old man who longed for a child also said to an old woman, "What a good child. Why don't you want to live with Lao Lu?" The third uncle also talked about this matter at home. I just said that Lao Lu can't beat children every day. Look, Liu Guangqi just got married and flew away when his wings became hard. Yan Jiecheng roast in his heart. You and the second eldest brother don't talk about the second eldest brother. Later, there will be 3 sons who have no one to support them. The second eldest brother is not good at beating the children. You can just collect the rent of your own children and borrow money to calculate the interest. Who is not spoken of behind their backs, and who is not spoken of behind their backs? After much thought, the second uncle decided to make a comeback and make a comeback. The large account has already paid for practice, and there are still 2 small accounts to play with. Boss Liu Guangqi has fully demonstrated the failure of indulgent education, and Liu Guangtian and Liu Guangfu need to implement stick education more thoroughly. At home, when dealing with 2 people, the nose is not the nose, and the eyes are not the eyes. If there is something to do, give them a beating, and if they are bored, give them a beating. In short, Liu Guangqi walked away gracefully, but the turmoil caused by the courtyard house was not easily quelled. For Yan Jiecheng, Liu Guangqi brought some waves and surprises to his plain and happy life. The first person to take action was still Silly Zhu. The next morning, he washed his hair, brushed his teeth, washed his face, and changed into an 80% new Zhongshan suit. Even in such a hot day, he was not afraid of getting prickly heat. Change into expensive leather shoes, the shoes shine brightly. Bring a gift of local specialties from the host's family. It only took 15 minutes for Zhenben to leave Lu's mother-in-law's house, and upon entering Lu's mother-in-law's house, he shouted, "Is Aunt Lu at home?" "It's a pillar, come in quickly." "You say you can come and bring something. Why are you so polite when you come to Aunt Lu's house?" Matchmaker Lu looked at the silly pillar coming to the door, her face wrinkled with a smile. In this era, being a full-time matchmaker can also be considered a job, and it is not easy for matchmakers to do it. They are all for the sake of living and earning money to support their families. After becoming married, both men and women will give matchmakers some happy money and gifts. Lu Matchmaker has introduced many girls to Silly Zhu, and finally received some rewards from him. When young men and women in the vicinity reach marriageable age, matchmakers must proactively come to their homes to understand the situation. Arrange to meet according to the conditions of both men and women. There are also various aunts who enjoy being matchmakers, as well as part-time matchmakers. Any family that has excellent unmarried young men or women will also introduce them to their relatives and friends. The current blind date process is similar. The matchmaker introduces them and the two of them feel pretty good. After going on a date or two, you can take it home to meet both parents, and once both parents are satisfied, you can start discussing marriage, with a cycle ranging from half a month to a few months. "Aunt Lu, I haven't seen you for a long time. Come and see you." Silly Zhu hurriedly said to Aunt Lu. "Pillar, don't worry, Aunt Lu understands everything. Wait for the news. Aunt Lu will definitely arrange for you to meet the best young woman." Lu Matchmaker is also a seen person, and a paragraph brings joy to Silly Zhu's face. "So what, Aunt Lu, are you busy?" "It's time for me to go to work, and I'm just waiting for your message." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Silly Pillar's Blind Date. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Silly Pillar's Blind Date. Yan Jiecheng had just returned home from school when he heard that Silly Zhu's blind date was coming, and the entire courtyard knew about it. According to the third master, Silly Zhu bought half a kilogram of pork to entertain his guests at home. Yan Jiecheng's interest suddenly came. Why hasn't Silly Zhu succeeded in getting married at this stage? Should Su Dumao come and cause destruction? What is Qin Huairu's attitude? What does the silly pillar object look like? How did blind dates occur in this era? How does Grandpa view this matter? The soul of Yan Jiecheng's gossip is burning fiercely, and unsolved mysteries of the quadrangle courtyard are waiting to be discovered. Yan Jiecheng didn't go back to his room either. He took a newspaper and sat at the door waiting. Not long after, I saw matchmaker Lu coming over with a girl in her 20s. The little girl has a tall and slender figure, no less than the 16-year-old Yan Jiecheng. She is also white and clean, wearing a blue work uniform. Lu Matchmaker and the gatekeeper of the courtyard, Mr. San, greeted each other and walked towards the middle courtyard. In no time, the aroma of sautéed meat from Silly Zhu's house came out from the courtyard. Yan Jiecheng has never tasted the culinary skills of the top 4 or 9 cities in the legend of Silly Pillar. According to the evaluation of the 3 elders who have eaten it, the dish made by Silly Zhu is the second most delicious one he has ever tasted, and the first most delicious one is Silly Zhu's father Jiecheng. Of course, what the third lord said cannot be tested. After all, the third lord Yan Bugui is Yan Laoshi and is reluctant to eat restaurants. He has eaten relatively few good things. A true chef would not choose to work in a factory, and there is a lot of difference in salary. The ceiling for factory cooks is level 5, which cannot be higher. There are many state-owned restaurants and public-private partnership chefs in the 4 or 9 cities, who are the true experts, and the welfare benefits of these units are also higher. Silly Zhu's cooking skills are quite good, although not as exaggerated as rumors. especially skilled in making Sichuan cuisine. It's not certain if Tan Jiatsai's silly pillar has been made a few times. Silly Zhu's cooking skills may be equivalent to a high-level skill level. An executive chef who would make a private dish in later generations would be more than enough. In about half an hour, matchmaker Liu came out with the girl. I'm sure I haven't eaten anything in such a short time. Yan Bugui took half a bottle of sweet potato stewed with water and went to find silly pillar. Yan Jia was waiting at home for the news that Yan Bugui had brought back. Without Yan Bugui eating at home, Waotu would not have thought about it. According to the rules of the Yan family, the extra dough is evenly distributed, and one person can be considered to have taken a few more sips. Silly Zhu's kindness and generosity are also relative to others, even when the calculating Yan Bugui takes advantage, he doesn't have much. At least Yan Bugui has never brought back the so-called leftovers, brought back by silly pillar. At present, most of the dishes brought back by silly pillar are eaten by himself and he rainwater, and a small portion is given to the deaf old lady. The other part was sent to the Qiao family, whose living conditions were top-notch in the courtyard. When Yan Bugui returned from drinking, he also brought back the news that Yan Jiecheng wanted to know. Silly Zhu has taken a liking to the girl from another family. The girl's conditions are indeed good. She is a formal worker in a textile factory, and her youngest daughter, father, brother, and sister all have their own jobs. The family also has no burden. There is also middle school education, and the dishes are beautiful and smooth. This condition is considered excellent. Silly Zhu was very satisfied, but the girl said she had something to do and left without even eating. At least I can't say I'm satisfied. Even the Silly Zhu family doesn't want to eat their meals. In this era, when we first meet, we usually choose to stay in restaurants and parks. The matchmaker asked Silly Zhu to choose to meet at home because Silly Zhu has good cooking skills and there are no elders at home. You can take a look at the two large houses in the house of Silly Zhu, both of which are his advantages. The house of the old Yan family can also be considered large, and Yan Jiecheng, Yan Jiefang, and Yan Jiecheng are three brothers who live in the same house. Silly Zhu and he rainwater each have a room, and Silly Zhu's room is still the main room of a quadrangle courtyard, with each room covering 50 or 60 square meters. 2 more days passed, and the news came that the blind date of Silly Zhu was not successful. The girl didn't take a liking to Silly Zhu. Silly Zhu went to look for him twice but didn't succeed. The advantages and disadvantages of Silly Zhu in the blind date market are very obvious. The advantages go without saying, but the disadvantages are old age, bad breath, impulsiveness, love to fight, having a bad reputation under the nickname Silly Zhu, and having a procrastinating younger sister who just started middle school. However, this time Silly Zhu did not give Liu matchmaker the wrong gift, and there were several blind dates back and forth. After more than a month of tinkering, to sum up, there is only one sentence. If someone looks up to him, others will not look up to him, and if someone looks up to him, he will not look up to others. Even the third master said that if Jiecheng were still foolish, he would have gotten married long ago. Firstly, if Jiecheng were still alive, the life of the He family would obviously be a few levels higher, and there would be more possibilities for choices. Secondly, even with the presence of elders, one cannot be foolishly picky about not getting married. In this era, there is not so much love. It is only when the two parties have similar conditions that they can get married. Getting married first and then falling in love can also lead to a very happy life. To be honest, Jiecheng was also good to Silzu, leaving him with the 2 largest rooms in the courtyard. Raising Silly Zhu to adulthood, arranging work for him, and teaching him the art of eating. There are not many parents who can do this. Jiecheng, in his 40s, is wealthy and capable, but of course he doesn't want to be an old bachelor for a lifetime. Encountering a young and somewhat attractive widow named by Widow from Baocheng, he was deeply inspired by the widow enthusiast in the genes of the old He family. It's no wonder Jiecheng couldn't resist it. The White Widow needs a man to earn money to support her family, and Jiecheng needs a woman to accompany her. The two of them hit it off at once. The win-win situation is that Jiecheng doesn't take care of his own children and runs away to protect the city to have a young widow take care of him and raise children for others. This is exactly the same as what silly Zhu will do in the future. The only thing Jiecheng is sorry for is his rainwater. It cannot be said that his rainwater is completely irresponsible. Every month, his rainwater's living expenses are mailed to an old man named Zhengyang for transfer. A seemingly fair old man in a courtyard, earning a monthly salary of 99 yuan, is the richest man in the courtyard and a spokesperson for the courtyard. The only 8th level fitter in the steel rolling plant, with a technical ceiling, has some face in front of the steel rolling plant director. The only concern is having no children, and every day I have nothing to do but look for candidates for retirement. The first choice is Ma Bao male Jia Dongxiu, who personally took Jia Dongxiu as his disciple. Both the steel rolling mill and the courtyard house are covered with Jia Dongxiu, who gives him some food, drink, and clothing whenever he has free time. Basically raised as a son. The master-apprentice relationship in this era is similar to that of a father and son, both of whom have the obligation to take care of their old age and send their children away. There are many reasons for choosing Jia Dongxiu as his apprentice. Some people say that they look at Jia Dongxiu's filial piety. Jia Dongxiu is a Ma Baonan and listen to his mother. Some say it's because the two families have a close relationship, but so many young men in the courtyard haven't seen an old man take someone else as his disciple. People with darker thoughts say that Jia Dongxiu is the son of Zhengyang. What an old man asked for was a stable character. After Jiecheng left, an old man added the silly pillar to his retirement spare tire. An old man naturally understands that true emotions cannot be retained since ancient times, only the principle of using tricks to win people's hearts. After Jiecheng left, he used the money Jiecheng sent back to take care of the silly Zhu and Yushui's siblings. Jiecheng has left, and if his uncle takes care of him, he will become the closest elder to silly Zhu. Silly Zhu will not be able to take care of him until his old age. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Middle School Entrance Examination. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Middle School Entrance Examination. The days when nothing happened in the courtyard went by quickly. After passing the Red Star Middle School Entrance Exam, Jiecheng can now be considered a junior high school graduate. System Dad, sign in. Congratulations to the host for receiving 5 yuan in money and 1 pound of chocolate. System Father Awesome, today is the day of the high school entrance exam. System Father also made a big explosion. His money reached an unprecedented high of 5 yuan, and he gave back a gene of chocolate, which is now imported food. You can only buy it at the Friendship Store with foreign exchange vouchers. For children nowadays, it can also be considered a legendary snack. I can just replenish my energy when I'm hungry these days. It's still the 8 Immortals table. What's rare is that today's congee is millet porridge, with 5 wawatu and 2 double-face mantu. I put sesame oil in the pickled cabbage and carrot sticks. Jiecheng, take a good exam and play normally. Today's mantu is yours. Can you make it in these days? As a teacher of the people, Bugui understands the meaning of the high school entrance examination more than other parents of children. After the graduation exam, Bugui happily got drunk that night. The first place performance in the class undoubtedly made Bugui proud. Self-proclaimed as a scholar of the Yan family, with poetry and books passed down from family to family. Not one of his 3 children was able to read and gain popularity, but it left Bugui's heart filled for a long time. That night, the Yan family held the nth family meeting, which was presided over by Comrade Bugui, the head of the Yan family. A discussion was held on Jiecheng's future life path. Bugui hopes that Comrade Jiecheng will continue to work hard, attend high school, pass the college entrance examination, and become the first college student in the old Yan family. Comrade Yan Jiecheng proposed to take the vocational school entrance exam and quickly contribute to the construction of the Yan family. As the eldest son of the family, he should make money as soon as possible, help reduce the burden of life, and leave the hope of attending college to his younger siblings. Finally, under Yan Jiecheng's promise to Yan Jifang, Yan Jiquang, and Yan Jiri to buy more delicious food after making money, obtained a huge advantage of 4.2 votes. Although Yan Bugui did not agree, Yan Jiecheng still forcefully passed the issue of attending vocational schools. In this era, not everyone needs to participate in the middle school entrance examination. Only those who feel there is hope to attend high school or vocational school will participate. The graduation test of the school can also be said to be a screening process. Lu Shitu from Yan Jiecheng's trio did not disappoint everyone. I am ready to report to the steel rolling mill. Become a glorious apprentice worker. Exams for Chinese, mathematics, foreign languages, physics, chemistry, politics, for 3 consecutive days. Fortunately, it is not popular for parents to send exams now, and there are not many who send exams. The exams are still held on our campus, with only a switch of invigilators. After passing the exam, I chose the mechanical manufacturing major at the Beijing Institute of Mechanical Engineering. Beijing Institute of Mechanical Engineering. In 1958, Beijing Machinery Manufacturing School, Beijing Industrial Management School, and Beijing Industrial Cadre School merged and upgraded to Beijing Machinery College, which was under the jurisdiction of the First Ministry of Machinery Industry. At present, the country is focusing on developing heavy industry, and the third rolling mill is a key national enterprise with good welfare, good treatment, proximity to home, and the highest social status of workers. There is no reason not to choose. Yan Jiecheng was unexpectedly admitted to the school. It can be said that one foot has already embraced an iron rice bowl. After graduation, I will work as a level 7 clerk in the administrative field, earning a salary of 37.5 yuan. The engineering and technical route can also receive a salary of 37 yuan at level 16. There was no privacy in the courtyard, and the news of Yan Jiecheng being admitted to a vocational school unexpectedly spread. Yan Bugui, the gatekeeper of the courtyard, stands happily at the door every day during the summer vacation. His third uncle, Jiecheng, has been admitted to a vocational school. You need to set up 2 tables to celebrate. Third master, you'll be more relaxed in the future, just wait and enjoy yourself. Old Yan looks blessed, with 4 children, there will be endless blessings to enjoy in the future. Third master, Jiecheng has been admitted to vocational school. Take this little mushroom home to eat and add some extra dishes. When it comes to being a good person, Su Dumao thinks that those who are useful to him are truly generous. San Diyi, you won't be able to make as much money in the future as your own son. The one with a bad mouth must be a silly pillar. Yan Jiecheng seemed to have suddenly grown up, and no one in the courtyard regarded him as a child anymore. Suddenly, the status of a quadrangle increases, and in this era, graduating from junior high school can be considered an adult. Those who are not ready to continue their studies will have to start arranging work. Those who have connections use connections, those who have money use them, and those who have no connections or money report to the street to wait for work arrangements. Students from suburban and rural areas are going back to the countryside to work in agriculture. Yan Jiecheng began his happy summer vacation life, sleeping until he naturally woke up every day, counting money until, no matter how much money he didn't mention. Read books, newspapers, and manage the small world. The wheat has already eared, the corn can be cooked and eaten, and there are also some peach and jujube trees that bear fruit. Although there are not many, there are still fruits to eat. The vegetables have also gradually matured and been stored by Yan Jiecheng in the warehouse. The second batch of seeds has already been planted. During the summer vacation, Yan Jiecheng transformed into a wet dad and played with Yan Jiri. After having breakfast in the morning, Yan Jiecheng went out to exercise in the nearby park and played chess with the old men. Listen to the tumultuous years of the masters, brag about the existence of masters in any era. Use some candies, cucumbers, and tomatoes to help Yan Jiti find some children to take care of. When the weather gets hot, start going home to escape the heat, sit on the lounge chair under the tree, and read a book. Let's start with one of the 4 great classics, and classics are classics. The comic books of this era are also particularly interesting, such as Journey to the West, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Liu Guangqi Runs, Wisdom in Taking the Tiger Mountain, White Hair Letter, etc. Yan Jiecheng learned about them at a bookstore, but did not buy them. After the afternoon cools down, take the little girl to the river and set up a fishing rod. Then bring Yan Jiti to grill some fish, corn, and vegetables to improve the meal. The little girl has a good sense of confidentiality and has not been known by anyone else yet. Sometimes I can catch some fish, most of the time it's the Air Force. Yan Jiecheng always secretly collects some fish into the small world. Choose 1 or 2 more big fish, some fruits and vegetables, and bring them home. Yan Bugui also goes fishing every day, and the harvest is getting less and less. Why can't I catch fish? Dad, I've told you to be willing to bait and bait, how could you possibly catch fish like this? Yan Jiecheng can only perfunctory Yan Bugui, can't say I'm cheating. Actually, it's just a lack of food. In the past it was because fish were too fishy, oil was wasted, seasoning was wasted, and there were fewer people eating fish. Now that there are more people fishing, it becomes difficult to catch. His mother, just make 1 fish. Save more fish in the water tank and sell them to the canteen. Yan Bugui is still known as Yan Laoshi, aiming to maximize the calculated benefits. Fortunately, the living standards at home have improved a lot. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Learning Martial Arts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Learning Martial Arts. It is said that in this era, there are still many traditions of Chinese martial arts. Yan Jiecheng practiced in the park for half a month, but did not find anyone like a martial arts master. Originally, there were fewer people who couldn't eat enough to exercise, and there were also some who did radio exercises, not even one who practiced Tai Chi. Yan Jiecheng had no choice but to change places for exercise. He woke up in the morning and ran to Beihai Park, which was really different. There are many people who exercise, practicing everything, including gymnastics, singing, dancing, and martial arts. Yan Jiecheng can only watch the excitement. I can't distinguish between good and bad, so I can only find a kind-hearted and elegant Tai Chi master. Hang around the old man for a week, finally agreed to hand over Tai Chi to him. It took half a month to learn a set of 24 Tai Chi postures. 1. Qishir. 2. Split the mane of the left and right wild horses. 3. White crane bright wings. 4. Knee hugging and twisting steps on both sides. 5. Right and left knee hugging and twisting steps. 6. Waving the pipa by hands. 7. Left and right retroflex humorous. 8. Left embracing sparrow tail. 9. Right embracing sparrow tail. 10. Single whip. 11. Yunsho 12, Gayatanma 13, right kick 14, bimodal penetrating ear 15, turn around and kick. Left 16, lower left potential independence 17, lower right potential independence 18, shuttle left and right 19, right and left shuttle 20, undersea needle 21, flash arm 22, turning around to move the blocking hammer 23, as if sealed off 24, cross hand. The effect is much better than radio gymnastics. After all, being strong or not is a matter of time, and being handsome or not is a matter of life. After practicing well, Yan Jiecheng didn't go to Beihai Park anymore. It was more convenient near his home. I switch my daily exercise to practicing Tai Chi, and my current combat ability is approximately 0. In actual combat, it's better to wait and find a retired veteran to learn a set of military martial arts in the future. Yan Jiecheng's goal is not high either. It would be good if he could clean up the silly pillar of the war god in the courtyard. He can't wait for the silly pillar to make a mess in front of him. After more than a month of training, Yan Jiecheng finally mastered his Tai Chi skills, and through systematic integration, he was enlightened. It made Yan Jiecheng certain that what he had learned was only a set of exercises, and the simplified version of Tai Chi really only had the function of exercising the body. After systematic indoctrination, Yan Jiecheng's proficiency in Tai Chi is at least equivalent to that of an ordinary person who has practiced it for 3 years. Having no effect in the fight, unwilling Yan Jiecheng decided to continue searching for the expert in Beihai Park. It's important to learn something with practical skills and get up early. I arrived at Beihai Park early to warm up, and after playing Tai Chi a few times, I saw the handsome old man who taught me Tai Chi come over. "Grandpa, do you see how well I practice Tai Chi? Do you have any other martial arts to teach me? Can you type it again and let me see?" After seeing Yan Jiecheng practicing Tai Chi so quickly and becoming a martial arts prodigy, the master reluctantly agreed to teach him a set of Xingyi Quan. At the beginning of its establishment, Xingyi Quan was called Sini Liuha Quan, which means the combination of heart and intention in Qi, Qi and strength, shoulder and hip, elbow and knee, and hand and foot. "Master, do I know the meaning and form of Pao Quan? I heard that one punch can kill a person." "Don't call me master, wait until I stand on the post and get started. Just call me Dan Lao Tu. "Master, when can I stand up and get started? How long did you use it back then?" "You can stand for a year first," said the old man with disdain. "Learn the three-body form of form and meaning, and first learn the infinite form infinite style. Practitioners first choose the correct direction. Stand upright, with hands naturally drooping, head facing up, chin slightly closed, tongue touching the upper palate. Breathing naturally, maintaining a calm mind, integrating oneself into nature, dispelling delusions, and achieving the basic requirements of the infinite form. At this point, you will feel the heart beating steadily, qi and blood flowing slowly, feeling refreshed and happy, until the balance of yin and yang inside and outside the body is reached. Three-body pose. Slowly take a deep breath, then slowly lift the palms from both sides of the body to the lower abdomen, and slowly inhale with the breath. Place the palms against the lower abdomen and slowly lift until they are level with the chest, then slowly exhale the inhaled breath. As you exhale, slowly lower your hands along the original upward path to both sides of your navel. Bend your legs slightly at the same time, and turn your palms into fists. With your fists facing upwards, pause for a moment. Start with your left fist from your navel and walk upwards along the midline with your tiger's mouth until you reach your heart. Punch your left fist forward at a 45-degree angle. Diagonal upwards towards the tip of the nose, reaching a height that aligns with the eyebrows. Flip and twist the tiger's mouth outwards, then flip the fist inward and lower it to align with the chest, with the palm facing downwards. As the left fist hits outward, the left foot also takes a half step forward, forming a 45-degree angle with the right foot. The distance between the 2 feet is about 1 foot. The right hand changes hands, and the palm flips downward to form the three-body stake technique. The entire movement is from movement to stillness. The basic content of Xingyi Quan includes the three-body stake technique, 5 elements Quan, and 12 forms Quan. The three-body style is a unique basic and internal training method of Xingyi Quan, known as the 10,000 laws originating from three-body style. The 5 elements fist combines the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, and is divided into the chop fist, metal, diamond fist, water, collapse fist, wood, cannon fist, fire, and horizontal fist, earth. The 12-shaped fist is a practical combat technique created by imitating the movement characteristics of 12 animals, which are dragon-shaped, tiger-shaped, bear-shaped, snake-shaped, day-shaped, monkey-shaped, horse-shaped, chicken-shaped, swallow-shaped, alligator-shaped, kite-shaped, and eagle-shaped. Understanding means understanding so much. Before the start of school, Yan Jiecheng was only able to stand on his own and learn the three-body technique. Martial arts prodigies can also excel. After learning that Yan Jiecheng couldn't come every day, he was asked by his master to come and adjust the details every week. There is good news, a hen has finally started to nest and is about to hatch eggs. Jiecheng took out more than a dozen eggs laid by the 2 old hens during this period, which could be the start of the chicken factory from the 2 old hens. After August, it has become even more difficult. There is no fresh pork supply in the 49 cities, and meat tickets can only buy canned meat. Like the 6 members of the old Yan family, they can't even afford a pound of meat in a month or buy a can. You can't eat it on your own. You have to wait until the holidays, and when relatives and friends come, add some cooking to make it more delicious. It can be said that you use meat as a seasoning. Because Jiecheng is going to live on campus, the 3 aunties are busy tidying up, and even if there are no new or old bedding, they need to be dismantled and cleaned. Toothpaste, toothbrush, towel, lunchbox, kettle, basin, teapot, clothes, shoes. All of these also need to be prepared. If there is nothing new at home, we need an old one, which is a necessity for daily life. Jiecheng also just found out that because he wants to attend vocational school, he doesn't have a grain receipt at home and uses a grain budget. To go to the grain management office to collect the grain vouchers, Jiecheng has student subsidies. He has 20 kilograms of grain vouchers per month and 6 kilograms of fine grain vouchers per month. He can buy rice and flour. A 14-pound fine grain ticket only buys corn flour, sweet potato jerky, sorghum flour, and so on. There are 6 kilograms of food tickets for a month when buying groceries. I can only eat when I pay at school and exchange it for a school meal ticket. This is still Jiecheng's urban household registration. Rural students can only carry food to school, and can only apply for subsidies for food. End of this chapter.